admitted the public members from the lobby and online.
Yes.
Okay, at 11:38 a.m., the meeting will come to order. This is the December meeting of the Honolulu Ethics Commission. And let's see, I think we will start by taking attendance to verify that we have quorum. And since we have a couple of commissioners attending remotely, I'll try to allow for that throughout the meeting. And at any point, if we lose quorum, that would be an issue potentially, except that we have enough people in the room for quorum, so I don't think it's going to become an issue. If we lose commissioners, we'll try to get them back. Okay, so can I start with the commissioners attending from online, and please state whether you have anybody in the room with you at this time, and just speak up to let us know so you can hear us and we can hear you, starting with Commissioner Marks.
I have no one in the room with me. I can hear you, and I hope you can hear me.
We can, thank you. And Commissioner Soimori.
This is Aline Soimori. I have no one in the room and I can hear you pretty well.
And we hear you great. Thank you very much. Okay, and just indicate that you're present, Commissioner Lynch.
I'm here.
I am present and no one is in the room.
Oh, I didn't see you. I'm sorry, Vice Chair. There was, all I see is your name now that I'm looking in the right corner of the screen.
Yeah, you don't want to see me. I'm sick and in bed. You don't want to see me.
Sorry to hear that, but welcome to the meeting. Okay, so.
Thank you so much.
Commissioner Jim O. Present. And Commissioner Adler here, and Chair is here. So we have, Commissioner Lynch already indicated present. So we have, are we missing anybody?
No, this is a full
Nadia.
6.
No,
No,
Nadia.
she just doesn't have.
She's not a visual, she's present.
We have
She's not, she's audio on the scene.
We have a full commission.
Yeah. Okay, great. So we're ready to go. I think that the first and sad order of business is to say farewell to the two commissioners who are terming out as of this meeting. And we recognize Commissioner Soimori and Commissioner and former Chair Marks for their 10 years of service. I would like to read two citations. Actually, the citations are the same. I'll read one, but please note that it applies to both of you. It's the Mayor's Award of Recognition in appreciation of your 10 years of dedicated service and commitment to the City and County of Honolulu as a Commissioner on the Honolulu Ethics Commission, done this 18th day of December 2024 in Honolulu, Hawaii, and signed Rick Blangiardi, Mayor. And you will both, of course, get hard copies of this. Very sorry that we won't be here with, have you here with us after the meeting to celebrate our little holiday get together, but I'm deeply grateful to both of you for your, both your service and your mentorship. I really appreciate it having you this call. So I look forward to keeping in touch.
Thank you.
If either of you would like to say anything in addition, I'm open to comments at this point.
Aline?
Actually, I would just say good luck. It's been a journey, and I've seen it go from an old office, staffing different, funding different, everything different, to now, and I think it's really in a good place. Thank you.
Thank you.
I
Vicky?
echo what Eileen said. You know, when I first joined the commission, things were in somewhat disarray. And we had 3 or 4 staff people who were completely overwhelmed. And through the dedication of new staff and new commissioners, things really changed course. And we are where we are today. And if you look at the strategic plan, which, kudos to Peter Adler, I think that was really what got us underway. So things are in a good place, in my view. There's still a long way to go. And of course, COVID sort of interrupted our timeline on the strategic plan. But, it's, as Eileen said, it's been a journey, but I've met and worked with many fine people, and I appreciate all the work that all those folks have done. And thanks to all of you. And I hate to say it, but I will miss you. not the ongoing work, but I'll miss the individuals. So many
Sure.
thanks.
Well, we're losing a lot of institutional memory with the two of you, because as you've both mentioned, you came from an earlier time when the commission looked very different, and things have really come a long way since then, and the two of you have been a big part of it. So thanks again.
Thank you.
I'm going to move on to approval of the open session minutes of October 16th. Would anyone like to move to? So Commissioner Jim Otso moves. Second. Commissioner Adler seconds. Any discussion? Okay, we're going to take votes according to the usual procedure, where I'm going to ask, or simply for time-saving purposes, I'm going to ask if anyone would like to vote no or abstain. And if no one does, then we will accept the motion as unanimously approved. So for the open minutes approval, would anyone like to vote no or abstain? And ladies online, just in case, if you are going to do either of those things at any point, wave a hand at us, just in case your mic is off. And if your video is off, holler. That's true. Yeah, okay. All right, seeing no objection, the open session minutes of October 16th are approved. And now can I have a motion for the executive session minutes? So moved. Mr. Adler moves. Second. Commissioner Jim on seconds. Any discussion? Vice Chair Rice, Commissioner Marks, Commissioner Singmore, any comment or discussion on the executive session minutes? Remember that they're confidential, so if you do have a comment, please keep that in mind. Okay, does anybody intend to vote no or abstain? Okay, seeing and hearing none, the executive session minutes are approved. And our next order of business is nomination of the chair and vice chair turnover at this meeting for calendar year 2025. So I'm now open to entertain nominations for chair.
I nominate David.
If I could make,
Sorry? Chair, Commissioner Marks, you spoke first. What were you saying?
I said I nominate David.
Thank you.
I second.
Too
Actually, I
late.
second, and I. No, the reason why, David, is because if the two of us are rotating off, you gotta have, it's basically you and Peter and Jim on.
Right.
And I think you should go one more year, and then you can give it to Peter or Jim on.
Thank you for that.
Because,
Thank you
because you are losing a lot of institutional history.
But I'm not going anywhere. So I gratefully decline the nomination.
Actually,
And I nominate Commissioner Jim on for chair. Second. Okay, nomination made and second. Commissioner Jim on for chair. Is there any discussion before we proceed to a vote? I'm going to take a roll call on this one. The nominations, I think both positions deserve a roll call. So let's see, Vice Chair Rice.
Yes.
Vice Chair votes yes. Commissioner Marks?
I'm
Yes.
sorry, can you repeat the
who-
question, David? I apologize.
I'm sorry, we're voting on the nomination of Commissioner Jim Mon for chair.
Oh, sorry. Is it too late for me to make a nomination? The sound is very
Oh, I'm
garbled
sorry,
coming in.
I didn't hear any other nominations. I prematurely closed nominations. Go ahead if you want to nominate.
No, it's
please.
just the sound is garbled for me. I don't know if it's my computer or what. I would like
Okay.
to nominate Peter.
Okay. Commissioner Adler politely declines.
Oh,
Thank
Jeez,
you.
you guys. You guys.
Thank you. He politely and gratefully declines. So, okay, sorry, proceeding to the vote then on the sole nominee. Everybody hear us? Okay, I'll go back and start again. Vice Chair Rice?
Yes,
Okay, she votes yes.
I'm
Commissioner
sorry.
Lynch?
Yes.
Yes, got it. Thank you.
Yes.
Yes. Commissioner Adler?
Yep.
Commissioner Marks?
Yes.
Commissioner Solimori?
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Jim Mon, you're free to vote if you wish. Yes. Chair votes yes, it's unanimous. Congratulations.
The honor, it was something like, I mean, it's not my tail, I think. But I'm deeply honored and I was hoping about Mr. Monk again. When he spoke to me earlier, so given that situation, I understand
Thank you very much. We really appreciate it.
and
And you'll have all the support you need from staff and the other commissioners.
and this is for 1 year, yes.
Everyone.
Okay, as long as it's for 1 year.
I'm sorry, I hear somebody calling. Is it Commissioner Marks?
Yeah, is Commissioner Lynch there? I didn't hear her vote if she is.
She voted yes.
I voted yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it was unanimous.
Thank you.
Okay, we're taking nominations for vice chair. Commissioner Jim Mon?
I'd like to nominate David Monk because he would be a great person to assist me in going through this process and help me, especially when I'm a newbie to the commission. I have so much history. I hope that he accepts his position and doesn't.
Thank you. And so Commissioner Jim Mon has nominated me as vice chair and Commissioner Adler has seconded. Are there any other nominations?
Can I interrupt for just one moment? I'm so sorry. It's actually kind of hard to hear when you guys are not speaking clearly. It's just a little bit hard to hear for me. I don't know about anyone else.
Use your outdoor.
No, it is. It's difficult. I don't know what has been said by everyone the last 5 minutes.
Oh, my, okay.
For
Yeah.
those in the conference room, please
Yeah.
remember to speak clearly and directly at the owl. That helps.
That little thing on the table, right? Okay,
And
we're
and
gonna try.
loudly.
Maybe if it brings you.
Yeah, we'll bring
I
it
think
back.
we're gonna bring it.
Exactly, we'll do that as close as we can to the other commissioners. Good.
Well, can you hear us now?
I think you're gonna have to talk louder than
Can
that.
you hear us now? The
Yes.
internet is sketchy.
Yes.
Use your outdoor voice.
Yeah, okay, everybody keep that in mind throughout the meeting, please. Okay, so we're working on nominations for vice chair. So far, we have one nomination. Are there any others?
You might want to repeat that nomination. I'm not sure they heard that.
Yeah, okay, in case you didn't hear online, I've been nominated as vice chair by Commissioner Jim Mon and Commissioner Adler seconded. Anybody else nominating for vice chair? Okay, rather than conduct this vote myself, I'm going to ask new commissioner or new chair-elect Jim Mon to conduct the vote for vice chair, please.
I would be pleased. Let me start up with the individuals who are off-site or on video and ask if they vote, or what their vote would be on the only nominee, Commissioner Monk. Judge Marks, how do you vote?
Yes, yes,
That's 2 yeses, but it only counts as 1. Commissioner Rice,
Yes.
Commissioner Sumura,
Yes.
She voted yes. That's just a three. You got it.
Okay, thank you very much. Commissioner Lynch,
Yes.
Commissioner Monk.
I abstain.
Oh, that's not gonna work anyway. Yes. Commissioner, yes, and Commissioner Jamon votes yes. So by acclamation,
Relative acclamation.
congratulations. Thank you for serving another journalism officer.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so proceeding with the meeting. I think I have nothing more on my plate before turning it over to Executive Director. Oh, well, before I do that, I really should have said more upfront about any public testimony. We can take testimony either up front or in connection directly with any agenda item. We take testimony both in person and online, and in person or online, oral testimony from the public. We've asked everyone to please limit themselves to 3 minutes on a given topic. We do have some written testimony submitted for this meeting, and that member of the public is here. It's Ms. Thorson. Ms. Thorson, do you want to speak now? I'm going to have to say up front that I understand that the topic of your testimony is actually outside the commission's jurisdiction. But if you would like to take 3 minutes to present to us, I'd ask you to come up here where you can be heard by the remote. Come right up here to the table.
You want me to stand and face that way?
That would help.
Talk to the owl.
That's the only way that the internet can hear you.
You know,
I'll bring it closer to you too.
Yeah, okay, so in order to be clearly heard, speak loudly and to. There you go. Okay, are they getting my back?
Yeah, but don't worry about that.
Okay, I'm talking to you guys, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so before I begin, I'm gonna go ahead and pass these out. Are you guys part of this or just you? You can pass it too.
let's pass it.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm going to read. This is my written testimony. I'm Lori Thorson.
Can I just suggest, rather than to take your whole time to read your written testimony, which we will have seen, all of us, it might be better to serve your purposes to just say if there's anything you want to add or elaborate.
Right, but this is being recorded, correct?
That is, yes, that's true.
Yeah, I'm going to read.
Okay.
And I'm going to say I am a recipient of the Section 8 program that's implemented by the Hawaii Public Housing Authority, but this really addresses all citizens on this island, including those within the city and county of Honolulu.
Okay.
Since 2015, Haki Moensapi, the executive director of the Hawaii Public Housing Authority, has stolen over $106 million and continues to steal approximately $1 million each and every month from the Section 8 program. Haki Moensapi altered the financial statements by and through Bennett Liu, the chief financial officer, by falsely claiming that he used 100% of the subsidy he received from HUD to issue only 80% of the vouchers he received from HUD. He then lied to HUD, lied to the HCHA board of directors, and lied to the state auditors in order to hide the fact that he is stealing the 20% of subsidy he did not use to issue 20% of the vouchers. The elaborate fraud schemes implemented by Haki Moensapi includes fabricating and enforcing illegal policies that are not in compliance with HUD regulations and federal laws. For example, fabricating and enforcing the illegal policy to use low comparables against the contract rent in all rent reasonableness determinations. After I disputed the illegal policies that Haki Moensapi fabricated and used against my voucher, and after I caught him stealing from the Section 8 program, Haki Moensapi retaliated against me by intentionally removing my reasonable accommodation to have a live-in aid. Then he reduced my 2-bedroom voucher to a 0-bedroom voucher, Then he did not allow my landlord, Kelly McGill, to reduce his two-bedroom rental unit to a one-bedroom unit so that I could remain as a tenant using the zero-bedroom voucher. Then Hakeem Owensafi created even more illegal policies and obstacles so that I was unable to use my zero-bedroom voucher, which inevitably caused me to be homeless at 65 years old. On behalf of Hakeem Owensafi, his illegal policies are enforced by Ryan Akamina, the Chief Compliance Officer, Lyle Matsuura, Supervisor 4, and Bennett Liu, the Chief Financial Officer, who recently received a $57,000 salary increase. Attached to the written testimony you already received is the document I just filed at the court titled Second Request for Leave to File Amended Complaint. And attached to this document is my fraud chart and bribery chart that proves Hakeem Owensafi stole over $106 million from the Section 8 program and continues to steal $1 million each month. And I'd like to refer you also to my website, which is titled, which is https:// governmentcorruptioninhawaii.wordpress.com. And everything there is greatly detailed to prove this fraud schemes that are implemented to steal money from the citizens on Oahu, not only under the state jurisdiction, but also under the city jurisdiction. And some of the board members actually represent the city and county of Honolulu. So I thought appropriate to come here before you guys, for the commissioners, and present these claims to you. I did file a lawsuit. The lawsuit is at the U.S. District Court, and hopefully they'll honor my request to amend my complaint, because I want to add Bennett Liu as a defendant, and then the additional claims of fraud and bribery. So,
Can I ask, have you also approached any other state level agencies about this? For example, the Attorney General's office?
yes,
or the,
yes.
State Ethics Commission?
Every communication that I have, everything I file is filed with, it's also a copy is given to Claire Connors and also to Ann Lopez, who's the AG. But you have to remember, her office is the one representing the defendants, who is Hawaii Public Housing Authority, Hakeem Owensafi, Ryan Akamina, and Lyle Matsuura. They're representing them. So at the and they're always there at the board meetings. I've been attending all the board meetings that they've been having. And they actually, which on my website, you'll see at the last board meeting, they actually misrepresented me and said that I had 2 restraining orders against me here in Hawaii, which is not true. So I had to provide them a copy of a letter from the attorney I had to hire from a neighbor that was harassing me. And I had my attorney, Miles Briner, wrote her a letter, putting her on notice that if she didn't stop her, because over 60, the repercussions are greater if you harass an elderly person. And so he put her on notice that if you continue this behavior. And so this is a woman that got a one-way ticket to Hawaii. She was homeless on the mainland. She was a drug addict, and she moved here on a one-way ticket and ended up being my neighbor. I have never been arrested in my life. I have never received a restraining order in my life. I've never done drugs in my life. I don't drink alcohol, nothing. I'm a Christian woman. And how dare the state office, the state attorney, misrepresent me? And instead of saying, their so-called witness, my neighbor, was the one who has his criminal history. And so I was a little offended with that. But again, the court knows now, because I did file my request to amend my complaint. And hopefully, they'll fix the problem, because I'm not the problem. I'm just a recipient of the Section 8 program because of my disabilities. I have been diagnosed with epilepsy since 2013. I have TEA before, during, and after seizures. I actually go into a state of amnesia where I don't know where I'm at. And my son was my live-in aide, and he was the only reason, that's why I moved to Hawaii, was because he could help me for free. I don't have the money on Social Security to pay for a live-in aide. And so what they did is they took away my live-in aide. And they imposed a policy saying that the live-in aide had to live in my home 24/7. He could not have a separate residence, and he could not have a job. My son is 38. He works for the federal government. He's a manager. There's no way he would give up everything just to help me for free. And it's not expected that I should have to care for and pay for anybody to help me if my son's willing to do it for free. So I had no choice but to file a lawsuit. They took away my son as my living aid and then threatened him that he would go to prison for fraud. And I would go to prison for fraud if we violated their illegal policies. So immediately my son stopped. He's like, Mom, I'm sorry, I can't go to prison for fraud. I can't. But they threatened him. And that's when I filed my lawsuit. And the only reason I'm able to do this is because of my legal background before I became ill, was that I was a paralegal. So I'm not afraid of the courtroom. I'm not intimidated being in the courtroom. And I am confident that I can represent myself. I would love to find an attorney to take my case. Believe me.
Didn't you just mention that you have Mr. Bryan representing?
Well, he won't take, because there's a conflict of interest now for him to take the case against Hakeem Safi. He actually knows Hakeem Safi, so there's no way that he could do it now. But there was a separate issue before with the neighbor, because I didn't have an issue. It was before they took away my living aid. But once I caught them using these low comparables, which allows them, let me explain something to you briefly, is
I'm
that.
Sorry, I'm just going to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
Because I've been saying nothing at this point about the merits of the case.
Yeah,
I mean, really, I recognize that you've had a very tough time and you have some legitimate issues that you need
Yes.
to try to work out.
yes,
I am at this point still, I mean, you mentioned that there are some city officials that are on the board that
Yes.
governs the housing authority.
yes,
But if they're on that board, then they're acting in their capacity as members of the state board. And I'd have to ask our staff to do a little more consideration on our behalf and let us know whether in fact that gives us jurisdiction or not.
well, the jurisdiction comes with Ryan Yamane is the head of the DHS, which actually covers the whole state of Ohio. It's not just a certain group of people or those who are state represented or whatever. He actually covers the city and county of Honolulu.
But our jurisdiction covers employees and officers and appointees of city and
Yeah.
county of Honolulu. So
You're gonna have to,
Someone else-
that's beyond me. I don't know who
We just-
reports to who and,
that's what I
Yeah.
think we're trying to say here. If,
Yeah.
I'll ask again, I'll throw it back to staff after the meeting.
yeah.
Ask them to let us know, to let you know.
And if
If
you
they-
want a list of employees, if you want people who are involved, I can give you a list. I can do that. I can provide for you those people who are actually involved.
Okay.
And
Staff has
and
your
we can-
contact info, now,
Yeah.
so if they need more information, they will definitely touch with you and ask.
Yeah, and I welcome you to please visit the website that I gave you because everything is there. I made sure to document everything.
Okay.
So you're fully informed. You know. But thank you for letting me speak. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to say before Ms. Thorson finishes up?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, if I may suggest, Ms. Larson, if she,
Sorry.
everyone who need, this is Lori Wong Nowinski, I'm the Associate Legal Counsel. I did respond to your email this morning. Anyone who wants to file a complaint with our office, you need to go online and submit a concern form. It's an intake form. I'll send an email back to you with a link to that, so then you can complete that and then file it with our office.
Thank
Very
you so
good.
much.
Mahalo, Lori.
Love.
Aloha.
I have a question or a suggestion for the person who was just speaking, and that is, has she contacted HPD, the FBI, and HUD officials regarding this? And
I'm sorry.
I don't need her to answer,
Okay.
but she could, that's something she could consider.
I did ask her whether she had contacted other state agencies, but you have a point. Lori, would you take note of that when you communicate with her? Would you incorporate Commissioner Marks's suggestions into your message? I think that would be sufficient.
Okay, will do.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I think oh, sorry, does anybody online, any of the public online have any testimony they would like to submit now before we get into the agenda? Of course, you can also speak up at any time during the agenda if you want to address one of those items, but I'm going to give a half a minute to listen for any response from our online visitors. Sometimes it takes a while for people to unmute themselves. Okay, at the end of the meeting, I'll try to remember also to circle back and see if I've missed anybody. But at this point, I think we're going to move on to next agenda item, which is Executive Director and Legal Counsel's report.
Thank you, Chairman. Good morning, everyone. If anyone has any issues hearing during this report, please speak up and remind me to speak up. I'll try to use my outside voice as Commissioner Lynch has suggested. I'm beginning with slide 7 in the Executive Director and Legal Counsel's report. The staffing update, you'll see the work report summary in the meeting materials. We are currently recruiting for an Assistant Executive Director and Legal Counsel. The notice has been posted to our website, to Indeed, and I believe to Corporation Counsel's site, a link to our site. And then we're looking into linking in with the City and County of Honolulu has an Indeed site and is actively posting its positions there. So we're looking into doing that as well. Moving to slide 8 on statistics, the financial disclosure filings. We're moving into our filing period, and so updates to the financial online filing application called FinD are being made as we speak. The launch for the 2025 filing season will be January 2nd, 2025. All reporting will be on the prior year. So the reporting year is 2024. It's kind of like doing your taxes. You report on the prior year. This year's financial disclosure review team will include the legal clerks and associates legal counsel. We're in the process right now of cleaning the database of any leftovers. There were a lot of staff last year because it was new, tested out the system by creating drafts. Some of those drafts are still sitting in the system. We're adding some enhancements, and our special thanks go to our partners at DIT, at the Information Technology Department, for implementing so many of our requested changes. And thanks to the legal clerks for assisting with all review and testing on the application. They've done a real bang-up job, so thank you. The second item under statistics on slide 9 have to do with lobbyist filings. We did build, with the assistance again of our partners, the Department of Information Technology, a lobbyist online filing application. All of that was built during the fall and tested over the course of mostly November and December. It was launched in December at the beginning of the filing period. A few little hiccups, but we were able to overcome those. The filings are coming in. So my special thanks go to Aaron, our admin specialist, the legal clerks, and again to the Department of Information Technology. At our next meeting, we'll be reporting on both financial disclosure as well as lobbyist filing numbers. Moving on to slide 10. The statistics for requests for advice. You'll see the numbers on slides. 22 new requests for advice in October, 10 new in November. Slide 11 reflects investigations, 21 active investigations in October, 22 in November. Moving to slide 12, the executive operating budget for FY26, fiscal year 26. Which begins, it's a little confusing for anyone who doesn't work in fiscal years all the time. It begins in July 1, 2025 and goes over the cusp of the calendar year into June 30, 2026. We did have our administration meeting with the managing director and the budget director on December 5th. That meeting is for them to have any questions for us, provide any information that they have on the general budgets that would come out for the entire city. Our requests above ceiling this year, we're always given a ceiling to work within. Our salary increases for all staff as well as commissioner conference travel. I heard from the commission this last year of a request to fund that travel. We were able to use savings from the prior year for registration purposes, but this following year, we hope to have commissioner conference travel built in as well. Okay, thank you. The budget director did indicate that this year is going to be a difficult budget year. There are some very large costs coming, and they have to do with hazard pay during the COVID pandemic. I believe the period that they're looking at is March 2019 through March 2020.
2020 would be when it starts.
So 2020 through 2022. Some of the other jurisdictions have already settled. The state has settled and paid its employees. I believe some of the other counties have settled and paid their employees. The city and county is still in the process of negotiating with the unions, but they're, I believe, building that cost into the FY26 budget.
You know what the estimated cost will be on that?
Not yet. They haven't gotten to the point where they have an actual figure. I understand at the state, there were 2 tiers of payment that went out for those who physically appeared at work every day. There was a certain tier, and then others who were periodically in the office, but worked during that period were in a second tier of payment. For the city and county, the ones who, for example, the ones who would have had to physically appear at work would have been lifeguards, the emergency medical services, the firefighters, police, they all physically had to go to work. Some people in our office, both that were with our office at the time, but no longer with the office. I believe what we'll have to do is go back to figure out who was working in the office for what period of time, whether or not they qualify once the city comes up with its calculation on how to pay the hazard. It is going to be a very large dollar. And so the city is looking at making it into a other post-employment benefit, which is under the acronym of OPEB. So that's as much as we know. I press budget director every time I see him because we have staff who were very active and in the office during the COVID period. And they're seeing all the other unions settle. So everyone's thinking, where is the city and county's payment? So it's coming.
Figure out an easy payment plan.
Yes, I believe they're concerned also about pension spiking.
Yeah.
There is a certain amount that would go into the base for some employees, and it would result in a pension spike at the end of their careers when they do eventually retire. But again, I don't have all the answers. I merely ask the questions every time I see them. If there's any updates, we hope to share as many updates as we can as soon as we hear them from budget director end.
You can make it up.
I'm sorry.
To just make it up.
Oh, well, I guess they're concerned about how large that dollar will be and where it's going to come from. I think they're trying to balance that with the costs for rail and employee salary increases. It is a year that that collective bargaining goes back to the table with the employers. So they're expecting large increases across the board for almost all of the collective bargaining. It's going to be a very expensive year. Some jobs like that I do. Yeah. So if there are no other questions on this or no further discussion, I'm going to turn it over to Kirsten Oyagi, our training specialist, to cover the training program beginning at slide 13. And Kirsten, just like me, we're going to have to really speak up. Good luck.
I do have a scratchy throat this morning, so I'll try my best.
Okay.
So, excuse me, for the all city employee mandatory training, the number has significantly increased, and that's because our due date is coming at December 31st. I just want to point out though that part of those numbers also include new employee orientation. So that is 1,458 that are a part of the new employees.
So the actual all employee mandatory training is 7,547. Board of Water Supply did inform us that they have completed training, so congratulations to them. Moving on to slide 14. So as for the board and commission, it's not that great of an increase. There is a small increase, but still not where we want it to be. We did send out a letter from Chair Monk to them. And that could be why it increased a little bit, but then again, we only have so much power. And many times it's because of login issues and they just give up after a while. There's nothing more we could do.
If a lot of it is the problem of IT, is there anything we can do in terms of reaching out to the IT people to alert them that this is standing in the way of our working?
I believe that IT have been in contact about this. I think they are still working on trying to get those commissioners in.
Yeah, good.
If I may add, the learning management system on Honolulu U, or HONU as the city employees and officers refer to it, is actually something that runs through the Department of Human Resources. The HNL.info side of the piece is information technology. The learning management system on this side of the piece is human resources. There have been significant issues with board members, commissioners being able to log on, being able to take the training. We've opened up the discussion of, is there a way that we could have them physically come into it in person by watching a screen and then have to input the information into HONU. We haven't yet figured out a solution. Human Resources is telling us that is not an option, although it seems to be an option for city officers and employees. We don't know what the solution is going to be. We are still interfacing with Human Resources to try and come up with some means to assist board members and commissioners with training. I think the takeaway from this is that in future years, this may not be the way to go. Unless the system is more robust and board and commission members have more luck or success getting on, this may not be the right mechanism to use. It is the mechanism that Human Resources uses for the entire city. So the thought was to bring the city board and commission members into step with the same system that the city officers and employees use. But again, these numbers so late in the game are not encouraging.
Not at all.
Not at all. Thank you.
There's only so much we can do, so we're trying our best on our end to get those numbers up. It'll be a Christmas miracle if we can get it to 100.
So if I to go home and do mine, so could I make it that number 90?
Yes.
You'll be 90.
You'll be 95.
We have offered to our own commissioners, bring your laptop in to the office and maybe we can help to troubleshoot. We are encouraging all the liaisons for all of the city board and commissions to offer that service or whatever you call it, assistance. In case it's an HNL.info or a HONU issue, maybe we can figure out some way to help you get on if that's a concern.
Well, right now it's like by triage issue and what we're doing today, it doesn't get them until tomorrow.
Well, you just let us know, you know where to find us. I think Kirsten has been very good at working through some of these issues, so please reach out to Kirsten.
I think having gone through this.
Yes.
And possibly been being the 89th person. I can say that the ethics issue is not the problem. I think the problem is the trilogy of other tests. There was discrimination and there's one that went through.
Anti-violence.
The anti-violence, although they're not really great barriers to completion because they allow you as one to be doing again. Sometimes it's going to be confusing. So it's just that this is the first time we've had
Yes.
There's three things, so that may be a problem with those who have not completed it yet. Low numbers sort of indicate that they had really,
Just
Well, that
frustrated.
raises a question though. Do people need to complete the other tests to
Yeah.
count in our tally? I don't think so. It's just our test that counts, right?
Technically, yes, but
give a copy is.
I did the same 3 tests for the university. So I'm doing double 5.
I will say for people who do get on, it doesn't take.
Yeah.
It's not hard. It's not hard.
I think the catch is for people who get on.
That's it.
That's the catch.
As well, so I'm mindful. So
Yes, yes, you are.
I'll do it. I promise I'll do it.
okay.
I
Move on to-
remind everybody to please speak loudly.
Yeah.
Okay,
Point taken. Thank you.
we can move on to slide 15. So we have released a backup pay stubs BOPs. This was a part of the other BOPs that we released last meeting. So this one was part 2. I believe it's in your meeting materials. I think this was released on Halloween, so we did have fun with it, and I believe it was a crossword puzzle. So city employees can go ahead and get tested on ethics knowledge in a fun way. And then our last newsletter of the year was our outreach and education program year in review. I believe that's also in your meeting materials. We just kind of went down this road of all of the accomplishments that ONE has done throughout the years, or throughout this year. And it was a lot, so it was great to put together. And with that, I am done.
Thank you.
Thank you very much to the outreach and education team, and that would be Kirsten as our training specialist, Terry and Lori as our associate legal counsels. They all sit on the outreach and education team. So very important work that's been done, and it's a lot of work, but you know, we have great plans for next year. We are hoping to do as many outreach table events as well as have these newsletters and other kinds of outreach materials. I believe there are some specialized training programs in the works as we speak. So lots to look forward to. Let's cheer in with a 2025 year of outreach and education. Thank you.
Excuse me, not
Yes.
today, but are some of the people who have not completed the ethics, are they individual board members who are scheduled, whose terms are scheduled to expire at the end of December, or is it just applicable for those whose terms go further than December? So I kind of wondered if it's kind of skewed, because if I were a commissioner who is going to, his term is going to expire this year, I don't have the incentive. So I kind of wondered whether those statistics are because of those circumstances. Do you know?
So on my side of things, I can only see like the names. I can't really see who will be ending their term this year. So I don't know out of how many board members are going to be exiting the chair by the end of this year.
But looking at our board with 2 coming off, I wouldn't be surprised if that's happening much more often than not. Yeah. Because it's actually the training period is it's from last year and this year, just the due date is gonna be this year. So I think it's a little confusing for board members, like if the incentive to do it with the deadline being that they're gonna, their term would lapse, but technically it covers the full last year that they were in service as well too. But I could see that being an issue.
So they should have done it last time.
I can speak to that.
Without January for them to be able
Yeah,
to do it.
Chair- Commissioner Marks, are you speaking?
Yeah, I'm one of those people. I bet I tried to get online, and I came into the office with my computer, and Kirsten tried to help me. And yeah, I had no luck. I could not get into the system. I have given up. And that's where I am. But I tried. The other thing is, I would just like to say kudos to all the people working on education and outreach. We have made tremendous strides. And, there are 10,000 city and county employees, and that includes people like Corp Council and firefighters and HPD, but it also includes janitorial, maintenance workers, sanitation workers, and, trying to reach all those people at their particular level is a task. And you guys have just done a great job. Way to go and keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thanks, Vicky. May I suggest one thing? I definitely don't want to put more work on anybody. So I'm not going to suggest that we try to research how many board members are terming out in a given year, but maybe when we report that statistic, let's put an asterisk or a footnote and say an unknown number of board and commission members may not have taken the test due to end of their terms during that period. Just make it clear that we're not that far behind compared to what's feasible.
Just so that everybody understands, we work pretty closely with the liaisons for each of the board and commission members. We don't track them per se, but we watch who comes and goes from boards and commissions. We have to rely on those liaisons because they are really the only ones who know at any given time who is on their board or commission. There are many times when commission members may resign unannounced, just personal reasons they have to step off. And their liaison, in our case, it's Allison, would know who's on our commission. It's something that we've always, worked towards because that is our closest touch to the membership. As we work with them on completion of training for boards and commissions, we can probably ask them to provide us with that number. So that's something that we can follow.
Yeah, if it could be done
That's a
without
Yeah.
spending an inordinate amount of time
Correct.
gathering.
Correct.
Yeah, great.
Okay, great. Okay, that concludes education and outreach. We're going to move on to education opportunities. This is on slide 16. We did have folks who went to the Council on Governmental Ethics Laws Conference in Los Angeles, and it was just last week. So let's start with Vice Chair Rice and then our two investigators and admin specialist, if anybody would like to report.
Thank you very much. The conference was absolutely outstanding. I am so happy I went. I learned a great deal. It was wonderful to see an international perspective with Canada and Guam and across the US. Of course, there was a lot of comparing. Well, how do you do this and how do you do that? It was simply amazing. Over 500 attended. It was full, packed, 7:30 in the morning till at least 5:30 at night, and then dinners at 7. And so it really behooved people to stay in the hotel. So next year it will be in Atlanta, and I'm very excited about that, and I want to go. I can tell you that this was one of the highest caliber conferences I have ever attended. Plenaries included the Secretary of State of California, who was unbelievably inspiring and motivating. Also, Mayor Karen Bass of Los Angeles spoke. A professor from UCLA who was amazing also, and an expert in voting and elections. And the highlight was John Dean of the Watergate days, who just blew everyone away at 87 years old, sharp as a tack. And every one of them emphasized why we must vote and get people to vote, increase our voting percentages, how critical ethics now is more than ever before due to the political condition and polarizing reality that America is now facing. It was stunning. It was every day, at least 2 breakout sessions that were an hour and a half to 2 hours long. I attended every ethics event. And I have copious notes that I've sent in that will be shared to anyone who wishes to have along with the program. There's a tremendous amount of resources that were shared. And I assume, Jen, you have access to those. I certainly do as a conference attendee and can make them available. They are all very worthwhile reading in terms of policy, administration, enforcement, case studies. It just went on and on. Honolulu, actually, I should say Hawaii was really kind of the star at the conference. Both the State Commission on Campaign Financing and Ethics, as well as us. I spoke twice at one breakout session. We got a lot of attention. It was really quite amazing. It put in perspective the fact that Honolulu is one of the oldest ethics commissions in the United States, which is kind of surprising. But it's absolutely true. There are still states and cities that are struggling to get an ethics council, commission, board, whatever they may title them, to be effective and efficient. So all I can say is I was delighted to go. I encourage all commissioners, if possible, to go. And if you, I'll take any questions if anyone should have any, because I don't want to take too long.
Nadia, did they give the dates for next year's?
December, early December, that's about all they could. I did speak with the woman from the Atlanta Ethics Commission, Jabu, who is outstanding and was one of panelists several times. She's putting it together, and we kind of put our heads together and talked about people and speakers and so forth. It is all being created beginning now. The general meeting was very interesting. It showed the growth of Kogel. It shows the impact of Kogel from a big picture standpoint across the U.S. And it's impressive. It's really the only ethics community of government officials, I think, that exists. It's very powerful, and every subject and topic that was presented made sense. There weren't too many boring sessions, but it was just wonderful. That's all I can say. And I got my report. I just suggest you look at the report to get a real feel for what it was.
Yeah.
If I can answer Commissioner Lynch's question, the next one will be in Atlanta, as Vice Chair indicated, December 7th through the 10th, 2025. The following year will be Denver, and we can send these dates out to all commissioners.
Sure.
The following year would be Denver, then Vancouver, DC, and Austin. I can add to Vice Chair's comments. Jabu Sengola is in Atlanta, and she will, I'm sure, do a bang up job. She's excellent. I've been on panels with her before. She is amazing.
Absolutely. She is truly amazing. So she's become a new friend, and I think we might be meeting at the Aquarium in Atlanta, which is a venue that has a full wall of fish.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Tanya, what
Yeah.
about the South Africans?
That was weird. Very weird. Kristen and Ken and Bob and I had issues with them. I don't know why they were there. There's absolutely no governance structure in South Africa that really is similar to anything that any of the other nations present had. There was a lot of miscommunication. Jan, I empathize with you because I got to experience it as well. There were problems from before we got there, and there were problems that continued to persist because there just was not sufficient communications. So what about them? I don't know. I don't know why they come.
Okay.
None of us
Thank you.
could understand it. Yeah.
Thanks very much.
Can I ask any of the staff members who attended, if you have any comments or anything to report, please?
Well, I agree with what Vice Chair said.
This is
I-
Jill Yamashiro for those online who can't see
I thought that the plenaries were so excellent. I mean, the speakers that they chose, like the Secretary of State and how they talked. I thought she was the most impressive because she came from like the background of like a family of 8 kids, not coming from much, and she's like a PhD, and every step of the way through her career, she never asked for it. She never ran for it. People wanted her to be, and then she became the Secretary of State, but she was, unfortunately, her parents did not get to see her get to that level, but they always, stress this voting, and in order to affect change, you have to vote. And I think in her neighborhood, she said that their house, because they were not close to any voting poll, her mother set up a voting poll at her home. It was amazing. And, just having 8 kids and having no resources, but she was able to, go to school and become, a PhD. And she was just a great speaker. She was very impressive. And some of the ones were not particularly driven toward like enforcement and investigations, but we found some interesting topics like they had succession planning, which I thought was very interesting because we're now going through a process where we're trying to create standard operating procedures so that we can kind of report like what we're doing now so that all the back people coming after us will have the opportunity to see how we've done things. And then we'll be trying to keep up with the changes so that we don't have to reinvent the wheel every single time. So we are going through that process. So I'm glad that they had that because it was very interesting.
Did you get a chance to connect informally with any colleagues from other?
Yeah,
localities?
actually, we sat with a number of different groups. Like in the beginning, like the Canadian people, they were so friendly. It was hilarious. Yeah, they were hilarious. I mean, we sat with them several times, and there was this one woman from Michigan who actually worked in the I think was it Human Services?
Right.
Oh, civil rights. And she spent like 5 years in Hawaii. And she came from Asia, and then she made a stop in Hawaii, worked 5 years, and she's back in Michigan. But it was kind of interesting to meet these different people. And like Vice Chair Rice said, that some of the ethics commissions are only like 5 or 6 years. They've only had like a small commission. But then again, there are other commissions that have such powerful admin rules where one group, was it LA? No, that they can go after money. And this one penalty that they collected on or they're collecting on is like $375,000.
Yeah.
I think the violation is X time the violation, they can go after like that. So it's like, we have a lot of work to do to try to enact some of those changes so that we have more. Yeah, exactly. So that was very interesting too.
Thank you. Anybody else want to?
I have a question. Do you have a sense of the comparative jurisdictions of other cities that may be in our range of size and, any sense?
It is all over the place.
It'd be really interesting to understand the different jurisdictions. We know what ours are. They're fairly constrained.
Yeah,
It is-
Peter, that's a great question. I actually have that in my report, a list of suggestions and information that I kind of sussed out from every day. There were small towns, people from Kansas, people from Arkansas, Ohio. I mean, excuse me, it was it caught my it's one of the recommendations that I wanted to make.
Take your time,
Back
Patty.
to-
Water.
Thank you, that I wanted to make back to us that we actually do compare, a 1.2 million population of other cities, who maybe have statistics similar to ours. Anyway, read my report. I think you'll get a lot of out of it. It's very specific.
I look forward to that.
Yeah, it'll be part of the, I guess, February 2025 meeting materials.
Good.
Thank
Kind
you,
of
Jan.
as an aside,
It was-
Peter, sorry, go ahead, Tanya. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm finished.
David,
Yeah, is that Vicky?
yeah,
Go ahead.
when we were doing this, strategic planning, we looked at that, and I think it's even in this, strategic plan report. We looked at Austin, Texas, San Francisco, Jacksonville, Florida. I can't remember all the other ones off the top of my head, but they have populations in the ballpark of Honolulu, or at least back then. So,
Right, we also did some of that in the preparation for drafting the gifts bill.
right,
That was part of the research for that, the comparable jurisdictions were studied for that. I just wanted to comment as an aside, and it's not directly related to the conference at all, but since Peter brought up the issue, Jan and Laurie in particular, but some of you also may recall, I'm in the habit of forwarding press coverage I get from a friend in San Francisco of their commission and its activities. And despite there being a fairly comparable population size, their jurisdiction is much broader than ours. Their ethics commission incorporates campaign spending. It incorporates things that are governed separately. So we're a much narrower body in terms of what we actually have.
Yeah, many of the cities that were there, it's an all-in-one. The ethics people do everything. Sometimes there's only one person, and they do everything from campaign financing to ethics to investigation. They just do it all. So it was very, very interesting. I think that we are in pretty good stead compared to most of the country, from what I could determine. Of course, there's other things we can do. We can always improve, but I was very proud of us. And I don't know who gave questions to the panelists, the moderators, but they had questions about Hawaii, like 5 or 6 during one session, and I had to answer 2. One was on campaign financing. So I'm just not sure how they knew to ask these things. I didn't get into the one particular case, Jan, that we had discussed. But they definitely knew what we were doing, and we got a lot of attention.
Great. Well, I think we give a lot of credit as well to the work that was done this year by Kristen Izumi Yutao from the State Campaign Spending Commission, who was involved in this year's planning. And a lot of the groundwork for the prominence of Hawaii, I think credit goes to Laurie, who over several years was on their planning committee, which helped
Yes.
plan several years of conferences. So we have a history there in that.
Indeed.
meeting.
Matter of fact,
Yeah.
Kristen won an award this year too for service. She was very prominent at the conference. And Lori, many people asked about you. So you have made an impression that remains.
Thanks, Tanya. So next.
All right. Then we have only one more item on the agenda, on turning to slide 17 on strategic planning. For our newer commissioners, many years ago now, it seems, we embarked on strategic planning when Commissioner Marks was chair. Commissioner Adler helped us to lead that charge, and we spent a lot of time in meetings, coming up with data and information. We have more data and information now than we did at that time. So I'm bringing this back to the table to do what I guess some people consider the rollover years, to take a look at what we've done. We did have a bit of a hiatus because of COVID. I think everybody, there was a blip in the screen when that happened. But it's now time to kind of dig our heels back in and kind of assess where we are and where we're going. So Commissioner Adler, did you want to lead this discussion? Thank
Well,
you.
I think we want to go back and look at where, you know, I think to kind of evaluate our own progress against what we started with a few years ago. Strategic plans by themselves are useless unless you revisit them. They need to be more, you know, living documents and evergreen in some way. So I think it's time to do that. And so we're good to evaluate where we've made progress, where we're stuck, what we still need to do.
Can I just say that in rereading the strategic plan for this meeting, I was very struck on superficial impression how prescient it was and how well put together it was in terms of laying out what we've needed to do and what we've, as it turned out, have mostly been able to do over the last several years. And I mean, I agree that we should probably go in and take a more thorough look at preparation for doing an updated draft. But I think you get a lot of credit, and you and your colleagues, Vicky and everybody who worked on
Vicky
it,
was in there.
get a lot of credit for putting that together.
Yep.
Very helpful and very organized way.
I think it also, my intuition, Jan would know better, but it helps when you go to the city,
Oh, yes.
to the, you know, the political superiors in there and say, here's what we're doing. They usually like that.
Oh, yeah.
They usually like seeing that you have a plan, you're revisiting it, it's more living document rather than on a bookshelf.
Yes, I will say that the strategic plan was key when we were asking for budget to increase the staff,
Yep.
increase the capacity of
Yeah.
the commission. And I know that going forward, whenever we have our annual report and that little pull-out page, the ethics budget numbers, inevitably the council makes a comment on that look at the data, look at the information that you're providing, and most of the other departments do not provide that kind of detail. We're a lot smaller than the big agencies, but I think it's important, especially for council, to understand what our work is, and what we've been able to accomplish even with our small staff. So it has been, actually, I should say, it's been key. So the way to go about this is we can have a discussion, or we can create a permitted interaction group if that's how we did it when we actually drafted.
I think it would be good to do that, have a big, just to do at least a first review to bring back to them.
Then we can set that as the sort of the parameters of the PIG to review the strategic plan, bring it back to the commission for discussion. I don't know who or how many members you might want to have on that.
Well, I'm willing to jump into it. I think it'd be helpful to have some of the newer members in there. Whoever, you know, yeah. Yeah, that would be good. Doesn't the PIG require can have city members because of the
Right. We limit it to 3.
Yeah, 2 or 3 would be great. It will entail, we did a lot of meetings.
I don't think it'll take that many.
No, I don't think so, because we'll have a base document.
More structured, yeah.
We also have more information. Annual reports, right? There's a lot of data
I
in
would
there.
suggest that Sheldon jump into this too.
Okay.
We'll make it as streamlined as we can, so it's not onerous.
Okay.
Just finished teaching the grading class on strategic planning, so I want to.
Oh, nice.
Good.
That's
Want
nice.
to see if what I'm teaching is really what they need to do.
Are we in a position to move and set up that PIG now, or do we need to wait till the next meeting?
I think we can probably set it up now. The plan is already part of the meeting materials. I think the charge would be to review it, and then we'll set a meeting to discuss it. 1 or more meetings, depending upon how that goes, and then we try to have something either at the February or the April meeting. It can take longer, it just depends. Everyone's schedules, we have to kind of, it depends upon availability.
Okay.
But either come back at the February or the April meeting with some type of comment review, what we need to do, or thoughts to bring back to the.
Can I ask what would be most valuable in terms of interactions on budget and other issues?
We can
Downtown?
talk about that.
Okay. Because I think you could have a longer, shorter My intuition is it doesn't need to be a tough process. It could be pretty streamlined. We just gotta get the questions right.
Yeah, we typically go back to, the city budget gets delivered from the executive branch to the council in March. And then the council goes through its movements to create the city budget. It doesn't, we don't have to have a final plan in place. We will by that time have our standalone annual report of our data. But we can report to the council that there has been a PIG created to look at this and to try to, give it light and make it evergreen forward, correct? And so if we report that, then I think that's something that already, that's a good thing.
I'm gonna ask for a motion.
Yeah, so we would need a motion and a second.
Also,
Okay, I'm good. Can you state your motion?
yes, I'm, that we create a permitted interaction group to review the strategic plan and come forward with any recommendations or updates.
Second,
That's Commissioner Marks seconds. Any discussion? Anybody online want to comment before we move to a vote? Anybody in the room? Okay, I'm going to ask if there's anyone planning to vote no or abstain. And I'll give it a few seconds in case anybody needs to unmute. Okay, hearing and seeing no objection, the vote is unanimous to create a permitted interaction group to review and report back to the commission on recommendations to revise, update, or otherwise the strategic plan. And we'll let the schedule of that flow from whatever you're able to accomplish in the next couple of months, whether it's February or April.
And who from the commission will be attending besides commission members?
We usually have at least one staff that sits in and as a resource for that. We'll have to talk about that.
It'll probably be me. I may ask another staff member from note taking and to help me keep all of the items straight.
We'll have our first meeting on Christmas Day.
Oh. Merry Christmas.
Or New Year's Day. Yeah.
First statement.
Okay, that's great. I wanted to note that the next item on the agenda talks about an existing permitted interaction group, which has been dormant. And the members are both terming out as of this meeting. This is the conflict of interest thing. And so we need to talk, I think, about whether to reconstitute it with new membership or postpone that till the next meeting, I'll just, without submitting a motion at this point, just ask if there are any commissioners who want to say anything about that. Jan, please chime in if you do.
From a staff perspective, I would ask that we hold off on that until the following meeting. If this case is going to kick off and we are still short one critical position, the assistant executive director and legal counsel. I think from a work standpoint, we are heading into the filing period for financial disclosures and lobbyists. January and February are particularly busy times for staff. If we could possibly bring that back up, bring it back to the table in either February or April.
Yeah.
If we want to reconstitute a PIG, then at that time we can replace members. But I think staff right now is looking at the filing period.
Right.
It's a huge mountain to cross.
Goes into abeyance or.
Yeah, yeah, until we bring it back and then
I can't
have.
remember whether it makes sense because the new commission members will probably be on board in February and they would be requested to consent or involuntary going into. Process. Given that situation, I agree with you. Let's wait so that we can get new commission members into this way.
I'll comment that I'd be delighted if we have 2 new commission members on board in February, but I wouldn't hold my breath.
Yeah. Your job will be to make it something they can't understand. If you get it in time.
Okay. Anything further on that? Okay, and any other, I think that basically concludes the agenda. So I'll just ask if there are still any members of the public online who have wanted a chance to testify and have not had the opportunity, then now is your opportunity. Please unmute yourself, identify yourself, and let us know. I can't see on this screen whether we still have any public in attendance or not. Okay, hearing none, our next meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, February 19th. And I think that I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Well, first of all, I think that there's no executive meeting on the record, right? There's no
There's no
executive.
executive session scheduled, right? That's true. I should mention that. It's in the public agenda. Like we have nothing for consideration in executive session.
Then I move to adjourn at this time.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any objection? Okay, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Happy holidays.